one thing I want to highlight is that pharma industry is as such interdependent on multiple allied industries like there is drug discovery, preclinical research, clinical research organizations, there
Correct.
are raw material organizations, packaging materials, there are
Marketing.
marketing, clinical trial supplement, all of
Correct.
this.
Hello and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, the podcast where we delve into the journeys, insights, and strategies of visionary leaders who are shaping the future of industries. Today, we are thrilled to host a true leader in the pharmaceutical world. With an impressive career spanning roles in the formulation R&D, business development, and leadership, he has successfully built high performing teams, established new business verticals, and driven innovation across global markets. From spearheading the India operations of a global MNC to leading transformative integrations and scaling businesses, his story is one of resilience, ingenuity, and impact. He's not only a seasoned farmer leader, but also a mentor, strategist, and advocate for collaboration and growth in a highly competitive industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Aniket Manathkar to FaceTime with Leaders. Aniket, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome to our show.
Well, pleasure is all mine. So thank you so much for their warm introduction. And I'm excited to be featured on FaceTime with Leaders with you. So looking forward to an engaging conversation.
Absolutely. So let's get straight to it. Aniket, your career has been an incredible journey from starting in formulation R&D to leading transformative initiatives and managing global operations as well. So if you had to narrate and start at the beginning, what first inspired you to pursue a career in pharmaceuticals? Could you share how those early experiences shaped your professional journey and eventually led to the remarkable leadership roles you've taken on today? We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely. So basically, when I got into pharmaceutical world, initially, I mean,
Right.
when I'm talking about early 2000, where it was
Okay.
more of personal connection than that of internet. So I was fortunate to be surrounded by leaders in the industry in this domain, and I was also moved
Yes.
by the innovation that was happening in the industry. So those two things inspired me to choose to get into pharma world. So I'm from a tier two city in Maharashtra state in India, by the way. Did
Which
my
is
schooling, yep. So did my schooling and graduation at my hometown in Maharashtra state in Nanded.
Nanded.
And
Okay.
yeah, Nanded. So the thing was, I was a pampered child, being the
Okay.
youngest in my family. So
Okay.
what I thought was at the end of the graduation, when I passed out with distinction, I realized
Okay.
one thing. Well, academically it sounds good, but I need to focus more on my persona, my personality. And with that intention, I decided to choose to go to the UK to pursue my master's in formulation science from the University of Greenwich. So between 2007
Okay.
and 8, I was in the UK to pursue my full-time master's. And that helped me shape my personality, honestly. So it was total
Got it.
reshaping from introvert to extrovert. And no sooner I finished my education, the main intention for me as the next step was to get into R&D.
Okay.
That was
Got
like
it.
heart and soul for me. And I was fortunate to get an opportunity to work with Sanofi India in
Okay.
2008, where I was a part of formulation research and development group, mainly to support formulation development of solid orals, complex projects for regulated markets. But then I realized one thing: I need to go one step ahead and challenge myself to be a part of actual innovation that's happening in the industry, and that's through NC formulation development. So then somehow I was able to get into Syngene International, a Biocon group of company, wherein I just not got an opportunity to got into formulation development of NCs, but beyond that, a fantastic exposure of setting up a lab as well as a GMP facility for such a big organization. And I was working on complex projects from big pharma sponsors. So that was an amazing experience. But then there was a little setback, I would say,
Hmm.
in terms of my journey in R&D, wherein all the IP that was generated went to the clients. So in none of the
Okay.
innovation or patents, my name actually flashed. It was
Oh,
a kind of
okay.
little setback. But then
Yeah.
I decided, how do I take a next step and get into management position? And with that
Hmm.
intention, I decided to pursue my MBA. So I did my MBA from United Business Institutes. And no sooner I finished my education, I got an opportunity to work with a Hyderabad-based CDMO pharmaceutical company called Eisen Drug Research Solutions, which
Okay.
is owned by an American uh, national. I thought that was a game changer for me because I got an entry into international business development. And being a
Okay.
mid-sized company, I got fantastic exposure in terms of travel across US and Europe. So that shaped my career or started my career in the management world through international business development for US and Europe markets, wherein I was responsible for promoting products and services to the uh, regulated markets. So I always ensured one thing, Priya. Whenever I changed the jobs, I looked at few things. Number one, am I being challenged enough? Number one, right?
Hmm.
Am I getting the opportunity to do something new from what I was doing earlier?
Hmm.
And I always looked at this as a big opportunity because I always chose to work with small or mid-sized companies because there I was able to build processes, build
Hmm.
different business verticals for the companies, not just build but also get them to succeed.
Hmm.
So my dedication, process-driven
Hmm.
approach, leadership skills, forward-thinking mindset actually landed me up into a leadership role at Bend, and that's my current organization. So
Okay.
one of the board member approached me in early 2021 to take up a leadership role at Bend Bioscience, right? And now since last 4 years, I'm able to uh, lead the cross-functional team across the plethora of functions like accounts, finance, business development, inside sales, market intelligence, project management, quotations, so on and so forth. So the takeaway is very simple. It's all about
Hmm.
forcing the challenges and
Hmm.
act upon it proactively. That's exactly what I did throughout my journey.
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. One
Yeah,
thing that struck me in your response was, the willingness to completely rehaul or revamp, as you said, like, your personality and making that journey across oceans. And it also signifies, it also is, it also depicts how, bravery,
yeah,
going to a completely new country and wanting to unlearn a few things and learn a few things. I think it shows great initiative on your part. Thank you for being so candid and sharing those anecdotes with us.
my pleasure.
Um, Aniket, now establishing CoreRx Pharma India and building a high performance team within just 6 months is an extraordinary achievement. And it's not just about creating structure, but also inspiring people
Yeah.
and fostering a culture of excellence. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during this fast paced journey? And how did you navigate them to ensure such a successful outcome?
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good question because it unfolds a lot of things, right? So here's the thing. I mean, it's all about self-belief. When you take up a leadership role at Ben, this was not just a job, but you're a director. So I had to wear a different hat from employee
Right,
mindset to a director and a leader, that too for
right.
a global MNC, right? But then I was fortunate enough to work with my leadership team in the US who helped me set up this entity, build the governance structure in India, and set up processes by working closely with the US colleagues from different
Okay.
functions, right? So, and then my job was to ensure to transmit that energy and enthusiasm from US to India. So we built favorable HR policies. We hired right people with ensuring that they are the right cultural fit for the organization. So, and since I am from the industry, having spent a lot of time, I had established good network through which I could find right people with a great mindset to be a part of this organization. So that helped me onboard right people
Hmm.
in a short time span. Now, once you have the people, the next thing is how do you ensure alignment with the larger group? I mean, with the parent
True.
organization, right?
True.
And that comes through two things by building uh, roles and responsibilities and KPIs, not just for each functions, but at an individual level. And that's exactly how you're able to align with the larger group, right? And I always ensured the transparency of communication with the larger group uh, through governance calls, weekly basis or need basis. And the
Hmm.
leadership team in the US was pretty much involved into it, right?
Got it.
And lastly, it's about creating favorable environment for the people that you're working for the
True.
organization, right? So the best part was bringing in the best practices in the industry. So we did some due diligence about what are the best practices to be implemented, number one. Number two, to be able to motivate people, what they need is basically guidance, number one.
True.
And number two, the tools to be able to effectively perform their duties. So we ensured
Agreed.
all of these, right? Without any micromanagement. Essentially, it was purely macro management. And that gave the sense of responsibility to the people. And it sparked that motivation that they were looking for. And there
Right.
we go. So that's exactly how we ensure that synergy at all levels and navigate through the challenges that we came through. I mean, along the journey.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's really impressive. And Aniket, your ability to overcome such challenges and creating a high performing team
Yeah.
in such a short time really speaks of your leadership. Aniket, moving on, you led the integration of Societal CDMO and Bend Bioscience into CoreRx while simultaneously overseeing the growth of your team
Yeah.
from 4 to about 30 members. And it's an extraordinary example of visionary leadership. So when you think about it, successfully navigating such large scale integrations and fostering a collaborative, KPI driven environment must have come with its own unique challenges.
Yeah.
How did you approach aligning diverse teams, revamping systems, and building a unified culture, that also drives excellence across the board? We'd love to hear
Yes,
your thoughts.
sure. So when you talk about integration, first of all, as a leader, you need to understand one thing. Whatever is happening, whether it is acquisition or amalgamation of multiple organizations, there will always be upside and downsides for the integration. But overall, it's happening for the greater good. Now, at BAN, we are fortunate to have a private equity group called QHP Capital. They are not just our investors, but they are partners with us involved in the growth of the organization. So, in the integration, we realized one thing: there was temporary sluggishness in the decision making. Why? It's very
Yeah.
simple, because during this process, there were a lot of changes in the leadership. Some people left, some people were asked to left because they were probably not ready for taking that bigger leadership role, right?
Hmm.
So there was this unnerving situation for a while. And there comes the responsibility of a leader to keep your people motivated during such times, right? The
Hmm.
good part was you're blessed to have a fantastic big consulting group supporting us in the integration, and they helped us revamp the business strategy in consultation with larger leadership group within the organization.
Hmm.
And secondly, I was fortunate to be a part of management offsite in the US, wherein our investor invited top tier leaders within the organization. wherein for the 5 years we were totally cut off from the work and we focused on relaunching the integrated organization with a renewed purpose, mission, vision, and cultural values, and also revamped business strategy, right?
Correct.
And that was an opportunity. After knowing all these, as a leader, it was my responsibility to understand how I can now support with my team to the larger organization in multiple functions, not just within organization, but even outside organization, right? So we
Hmm.
understood what were the pain points. And then the first thing that we did was, once we knew the integrated organization was supposed to achieve a particular thing, first thing that we did was we realigned the team's KPIs, roles and responsibilities based on the larger organization's objectives that were to be achieved, right? And then we hired people across several functions because we saw massive opportunity for us to grow as Team India across legal, finance, contracts management, inside sales, market intelligence, all these functions. So then that was a great moment for me as a leader to support larger
Super.
organization across several functions. So that's how we grew our team from 4 to almost 30 where we are today.
30.
Yeah, so it happened over the period of time, of course.
Yes.
And we always build the positive culture and we always ensure to motivate people constantly to achieve greater heights. But then it was all about an integrated team effort with the US
Hmm.
leadership and Team India leadership. We were able to boost the morale of the people and achieve greater heights for our organization.
Right. Right. And such an inspiring anecdote, and to hear how you manage such a complex integration, but also making sure that the spirits of your team were uplifted, and producing such a high performing team. It definitely highlights the depth of your leadership. Aniket, it's clear that you've had extensive expertise across diverse functions. You've also had a front row seat to some of the most groundbreaking advancements in the pharma industry. So, as someone who's really involved in these transformative areas, what trends or innovations do you foresee shaping the future of these sectors? And how do you think that they are going to impact the way in which we approach healthcare and patient outcomes?
Yeah. Well, since I'm consistently being involved in the international business, I got exposure to the other part of the world as well, where the actual innovation is happening, right? And before I jump into those innovation, one thing I want to highlight is that pharma industry is as such interdependent on multiple allied industries like there is drug discovery, preclinical research, clinical research organizations, the
Correct.
raw material organizations, packaging materials. There are,
Marketing.
yeah, marketing, clinical trial supplement, all of
Correct.
this, right?
Correct.
So innovation is happening across these sectors practically, right? So it would be very difficult to cover all of them, but I'll highlight a few just
Yes,
to throw
please.
some light. Okay. So let's say if I had to talk about manufacturing,
Hmm.
right now the focus is on continuous manufacturing processes, wherein you have input the material. Now
Hmm.
you directly get the finished product with minimum or no human intervention to ensure the highest quality of the product. You got my point? Then there is
Got it.
something called
Yes.
as PAT, process analytical technology, wherein the idea is to move away or do away with the manual intervention in terms of testing of the product. Instead of testing it through chemical analysis on instruments, the idea is to test the distribution of your API across your blend within certain equipment by using certain IR probes. So let's say it's a blender. The purpose is to mix your API and the excipients. The PAT, the probes, helps you understand how much drug load is distributed across the blender or equipment so that you don't have to do chemical testing. The results are given on the spot and you can move on to the next step quickly. So that saves your time and money and ultimately time to reach the market, which is a big thing, right? Then another example is in the preclinical industry, wherein I want to give an example of an American company. They came up with a platform technology which uses actual human skin to taste the fate of a drug product
Wow.
in vitro. It means it's about in vitro in vivo correlation that tells you what is the confidence of your drug product in vivo if it is going through a clinical research phase. But even before going there, all you need to do is use this platform technology to understand the confidence within your product. If it
So,
succeeds here,
Aniket,
yeah,
I just want to, I have a question here. So you're saying that instead of invasive human trials,
yeah,
you have something that's done outside the body, which is in vitro. So
yep,
you take a sample of human skin. Is that what you're saying? And the testing is done on it.
absolutely. So on actual human skin, the testing is done for all
But
the,
then what kind
yeah,
of products are we talking about here? Are you talking about, any say organ system in the body, or you're particularly talking about dermatological, or is it
right.
an indication of the entire human body?
Yeah, so this is mainly for the dermatology products
Right, right.
and
Got it.
cosmetic products. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Yes.
No
Please
problem.
go ahead.
So another example I can quote is about clinical industry, wherein
Okay.
when it comes to clinical now, this is a big industry in terms of engagement of multiple stakeholders, because there are sponsors, there are companies who are actually doing clinical research, there are packaging, blinding, randomization companies, there are clinical trial monitoring companies, right? So multiple
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders. So chances of miscommunication are very high. Chances for
Right.
inviting troubles in terms of compliances are very high. So, how to ensure seamless flow of information and communication is by developing a platform, a technology, a software wherein all the stakeholders can communicate and maintain the compliances within that platform. So, this is again an
Mm-hmm.
example of a US-based organization who developed this platform, and they are doing fantastic. And they are a trendsetter within this space. So, if I have to talk
Nice.
about my own organization, by the way,
Right.
we are
Bend Bioscience.
Bend Bioscience, yeah. So we
Yes.
are known as pioneers in solving a complex industry problem, and that is about solubility and permeability. Okay, and
Okay.
then we also call ourselves uh, into quick to clinic and quick to market approach driven organization. That resonates with our sponsors all the time. Why? Because you are saving time, money, and you can bring therapies quick to the market with these approaches. And also, we
Hmm.
have embraced automation in the organization by installing some state of the art equipment that helps easy scalability when you transition your product from lab scale to the commercial scale. And that's very important because just looking at those equipment, some companies decide to work with us, right? And apart from this, yes, this is era of artificial intelligence, and I cannot miss
Right.
mentioning the diagnostic industry that is shaping. So right now, a lot of platforms are being developed through AI, which can predict the likelihood of suffering from a chronic disorder. So that could be a bigger breakthrough, and a lot of research is currently going on. But Priya, ultimately, it's about one thing. The ultimate aim is to save time, money, utilize resources properly, and bring therapies quicker to the market.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
anticipate and nip it in the
Absolutely.
bud, like, you know,
Yeah.
correct. Makes
That's
sense.
right. Yeah.
We are truly living, I think, in very exciting times, and all whatever examples you narrated are really fascinating.
Yep.
And it highlights the future of these sectors, which highlights the transformative potential of innovation in healthcare. Aniket, your entrepreneurial mindset has been a driving force behind your success in identifying opportunities and building innovative solutions. So, in a very fast paced industry like pharmaceuticals, how do you spot gaps in the market that maybe someone else might overlook? So,
Yeah.
we would like to know of your approach uh, to positioning your organization to not just address these gaps, but also create meaningful impact for clients and stakeholders?
Yeah. Well, that's a fully loaded question, but I'm happy to answer that. Well, first of all, as a leader, you need to understand one thing. I'm talking about an industry which is science driven, right?
Correct.
And commitment driven. So
Correct.
here's the thing, as a leader, first thing is you need to understand your own organization thoroughly. What capacities, capabilities you have, scientific expertise you have, what we can do, what we cannot do, and additionally, what we can do but we are not doing currently. And that's an opportunity element, right? So that's exactly what led me to do that thorough assessment within my organization. And that's how
Mm,
I could find opportunities to grow within organization and outside organization by spotting those gaps, as you mentioned, right? So,
mm,
for example, when we integrated the organization, a simple example is legal function. We only had one general counsel, but the inflow of contracts was immense. And to be able to meet the demand, we decided to expand our team. So we took an initiative and decided to expand that legal function in India.
mm,
And then similar thing happened with finance. Initially, we were working with only one parent company organization within Florida, but then now we're across East Coast and the West Coast. So to support these different entities, we had to hire more people within finance function. Same thing happened with business development, contracts management team, and and then we also saw an opportunity to totally revamp the commercial function. Now, if you're an organization which is now integrated as four different groups, now your stakes are very high. You have to be a well-oiled commercial function to be able to attract more business. So that's exactly where we saw an opportunity to
mm.
revamp our commercial organization structure, wherein now we have a well-oiled function through
Correct.
integrated approach of sales, inside sales,
Mm,
marketing, proposals
mm.
function. So
Got
we
it.
took an initiative to integrate these functions and put our organization into that space where we can attract a much bigger business by finding business through market intelligence driven approach, right? And
Mm,
then we also looked at other opportunity. For example, when we thoroughly assessed our revenue situation, we realized that
mm,
there's a lot that we can do to generate revenues on one particular area, and that was manufacturing. But
mm,
then, Priya, as you know, clinical research is a long process, right? So transferring that projects from R&D to manufacturing takes a lot of time, maybe a few years. So then how do you find revenue on a quicker basis, quickly, right? So then we took an initiative and helped find opportunities, low hanging fruits from low volume and high value products in the generic space like finite for B to first of all opportunities. And that's how we were able to generate value for our organization. So,
right.
in a nutshell, as a leader, you must see opportunities, right? And that can happen
Yeah.
only once you know the organization and the market well enough.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Correct. I think having, as a leader, like you mentioned, having foresight is
Yeah.
incredibly important, and that comes with time, with experience, I think.
Absolutely.
Like you talked, right,
Yeah.
right. Aniket, with such a remarkable career, filled with transformative achievements, we are curious, what do you envision for your next chapter? Are there any specific goals, aspirations that you're passionate about pursuing? It could be in advancing innovation, mentoring future leaders, or also making an impact at the boardroom level. So, what legacy do you hope to leave as you continue to contribute to this industry and beyond?
Yeah. So having worked with large, small, right from small to large scale organizations, I realized one thing, Priya, very well. The major decisions come from the boardroom and then they percolated down the hierarchy, right?
Mm,
So having that experience of devising strategy, leading cross-functional teams effectively, building processes, it has now given me enough confidence to get into boardrooms, honestly. and contribute in the organizational growth by building process driven
Hmm.
companies and helping them transition from small to go big, right? So that's how I feel I'm ready to make that impact on the organizations as well as society as a whole. And then when I talk about my legacy, I would say I'm very particular about the KPI driven approach, building processes, and finding values for the organization by finding opportunities to grow uh, within the organization by essentially putting those organization in a market in a very strong position.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So we hope, and I'm sure, with how driven you are, and with the ability to forecast and the ability to envision the future for the company, we are sure over a period of time you will be able to achieve all of those. And as we near the end of the interview, we there is a lot of talk about ESG principles becoming extremely important in shaping the future of industries, especially when it comes to sectors like pharma. So, how do you see ESG influencing the way businesses operate in your field? And what steps do you believe organizations should take to align with these principles while driving innovation and growth?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, ESG, according to me, should be a part of a DNA of the
I
company,
agree.
right? And one should always see the long term benefits of it, right? And for
True.
that, I think to make that happen, what companies can do is implement some KPI driven approach, have some KPIs related to ESG across the wider organization to be able to succeed in this
Right.
particular endeavor, right? Right now, I see a lot of big farmers, particularly if I have to talk
Hmm.
about, are focusing on renewable energy push, and that's
Correct.
how there is direct impact on environment, right? So some companies, for example, they have a target by 2030. They want to totally be dependent on renewable energy sources. Some companies have aggressive target like by a particular year they want to reduce carbon footprint by, let's say, about 30 to 40%. So these are certain examples how big pharmas are shaping. But even small to mid-sized companies shouldn't be shying away
I agree.
within their capacities, whatever they can do, they should definitely
Yes.
come up and be a part of this, right? So
Right.
I'll give an example from my organization, which will be
Yes.
very easy
Yes.
for people to understand and resonate. So we are giving a big push from going paper based to digital. So that's a directly big impact on the environment, right?
Correct.
Then we have embraced automation by deploying the advanced equipment across R&D and manufacturing, because that saves time and money, as I said earlier, and also brings therapies quicker to the market by utilizing resources effectively,
Mhm.
right? So that's a part of creating direct impact of the society by bringing
Absolutely.
important products to the market quickly. And as a part of strong governance, what we have done is we have implemented strict anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy, and that shows
Mm.
the intent for strong governance, isn't it?
Agreed.
So that's how we have embraced. These are just few examples to quote. But when I look at India as a whole, I see a lot of areas of improvement. Honestly, even there are certain basic things. For example, if you know, typically in India, let's say if somebody is suffering from flu,
Hmm.
as a last resort, you should jump onto antibiotics. Rather, people are now
Absolutely.
directly jumping onto
That's
antibiotics.
the first thing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Now that is leading to a lot of issues in terms of leading to resistance.
Resistance.
Exactly. Now think about it. There is no new antibiotic since ages. What will happen if you're resistant to those antibiotics? In time of actual need, you may
Yes.
not see the real action from that
They're going
antibiotic
to
on
be
your body.
ineffective.
Exactly.
Yes.
They might go
Antibiotic
ineffective.
resistance.
So that's the first thing I realize, that some effort is needed out there. And then till today, there are a lot of underserved communities where their products are not reaching. So I think some effort on that side is needed as well. then uh, putting an pause to counterfeit drugs is another crucial thing, right?
Mm.
So there are a lot of duplicate drugs that can result into severe adverse reactions.
Mm.
For example, in the US and Europe, it's a mandate to have serialization to be done on the drug products. Right now, that's not there to large extent here, or there's no much focus in India, because that is exactly how you can stop the counterfeit drugs, right?
Right.
And then quality of medicines has to be at par with the Western world. Even in China, now they're adopting US and Japanese standards. I think time
Mm.
has come for India to even elevate those standards to that level so that the society as a
Absolutely.
whole will benefit, right?
Absolutely.
Plus, apart from that, I think if you know that China plus one strategy is slowly mushrooming API companies in India, right? But I
Yes.
think the priority should be given to green chemistry because otherwise it will result in a lot of deterioration of the environment. So focus on
Absolutely.
environment is very important.
Right. Right. Uh, One thing that you said in your response really struck me. You said, like, ESG is not just a set of rules to be where just organizations or industries are obligated to follow, but it is something that I think every human, it should be an intrinsic part of your thinking of every human. And it closely aligns with something I heard, not
Yeah,
I heard very recently, which said compliance is basically doing the right thing when no one is looking. You know,
absolutely. Yep, yep,
yes. Yeah, so thanks for sharing your views on that. And we can't help but ask you uh, about your journey with Directors Institute. You definitely come with an extensive experience and you have a proven track record of leadership. But how has your experience, how has your association with the Institute influenced your perspective on governance and leadership? And what specific skills or insights have you gained that you have contributed that have contributed to a professional growth?
yeah. So although I'm a full-time director, trust me, only after I signed up for this journey with Directors Institute, I realized there's a lot more than what I'm doing, because this journey has helped me understand one thing. For example, the LMS sessions, the learning platform, tells you what to do as a director, whereas there are subject matter webinars that help you
Mhm.
understand what not to do as a director, which is equally important,
Mm.
right? And then there are certain networking sessions that Directors Institute has been inviting us on, and I think that's a fantastic platform to interact with the creamy layer in the industry and find the right opportunity that aligns with your career objectives. So I'm very thankful on that front to Director Institute. Plus, predominantly for me personally, it has helped me sharpen my governance skills, and it has given me a direction to enter the boardrooms now. So I think I'm ready to take up that challenge confidently, right? So all in all, it's a great addition to my portfolio, I believe.
Absolutely. And we are glad that it's helping you on your journey. And it's
Yeah,
really inspiring to hear how, despite all your experiences and your track record and your experience that you come with, it's inspiring how you've gone on this learning journey all over again, which just goes to show that learning should and it never stops. So
absolutely.
thank you, Aniket, for sharing such insightful perspectives and experiences with us today. Your journey, marked by innovation, leadership, and a relentless drive to make an impact, is really inspiring. So, thank you so much for joining us and inspiring our listeners on FaceTime with Leaders.
Well, thank you so much, and I really feel privileged to be featured on FaceTime with Leader. It was a fantastic session, I believe. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all ours. And to our listeners, we hope today's conversation left you inspired and equipped with valuable insights into leadership, innovation, and the ever evolving pharmaceutical industry. If there's one takeaway, it's that resilience, curiosity, and a commitment to making a difference can shape not only industries, but lives as well. Until next time, stay curious, stay driven, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Thank you for tuning in and take care.